Alright, good afternoon. Welcome back to Three Swords Gaming. We're going to continue our Guild Wars 2 personal story playthrough, and we're going to continue that with Secrets of the Obscure. So unlike the rest of my story playthrough, which, took place well after the story was released, at the very end of Dragons, we caught up with the story, and so we're playing through the Secrets of the Obscure story only 6 days after it was released, or at least we're starting at 6 days after. It was just released last week, and I have spent the last week playing it on my main account, kind of getting a feel for the content, and just enjoying it before I resumed this series. So now we're ready to pick it up. We're going to go ahead and jump into Secrets of the Obscure. A couple things we're going to do before that. This video is not intended to be a review of Secrets of the Obscure, but I will, since this is the first time I'm seriously playing on this account since its release. I've been mostly on my main account and messing around with a couple other accounts. So a couple things to look at here real quick. We got the revamped dailies, which are interesting. Today's actually very friendly, so that's a pretty easy completion. In fact, we may finish some of this during today's story, and then I can finish the rest pretty easy. Really cool stuff, just because there's a ton of rewards, including this very interesting weapon starter kit, which may factor in, if assuming I do enough of the content here, may factor into our 0 to 0 playthrough in the future. And then I got an item which I got to throw on. The way we structure our our build, so to speak, here has changed a little bit. So one, we got reminders here of all the areas where I am lacking, because I never fully went on the runes here, and so I never put a rune on my mask. Just neglectful on my part. And then there's some other spots where I'm lacking full runes as well. It'll also do this, though. It'll give us this little thing if we don't have stats picked. So, like, for example, on the bladed stuff, a lot of times when you get it, it's not, or generally when you get it, it doesn't have stats. You got to choose your stats. So it doesn't have that, but this is what we need to slap on here. So they introduced a new system called relics, and so we got to make sure we get one of those slapped on there before we start with our story playthrough. So yes, Secrets of the Obscure. Excited to get started on this from a story perspective. Now I will say that this is pretty good story. It is probably the best story they've done since Icebrood Saga. I don't know if it's better than Icebrood Saga. I don't think it's worse than Icebrood Saga. When I say Icebrood Saga, what I really mean is the first half, because the second half was garbage. But the first half was pretty good, and I think the beginning of Secrets of the Obscure rivals the beginning of Icebrood Saga. Now that's cool, because the beginning of Icebrood Saga was good, but it's also unfortunate because I was already concerned about this expansion looking like Icebrood Saga, and it kind of does, and that isn't necessarily a good thing. Icebrood Saga ended poorly, had weak masteries, didn't give us elite specs, and a lot of that is paralleled thus far in Secrets of the Obscure. Still a pretty good expansion, but it has some real weaknesses. Let's get rolling with the story here. Should get a letter. Alright. Urgent news from the Queen, much too dire to include in this letter.
The Queen had Farron reach out to me? Farron? Okay, sure.
So I genuinely don't know if that dialogue from our commander here was meant to communicate, and it's tough to tell because the different races and genders have different voice actors. So the human female voice actor kind of just implies acceptance, and I'm wondering if on different races or genders, if it applies skepticism that the Queen had Farron reach out. Regardless, Farron says, Commander, urgent news from the Queen, much too dire to include in this letter. Please meet me at the square in the northwest corner of the Salma district, and we can discuss further. I would have loved for our story in Secrets of the Obscure to start somewhere other than our home instance, if only because this is yet another expansion where they don't do anything good with the home instance. One of these days, ArenaNet will catch up with every other studio that makes MMOs and give us like good housing.
Never changes. Never should.
Yeah, if you say so, Commander. I don't even remember what that's about, but we're gonna skip it. Should we skip it? Oh, I remember what that's about. Yeah, we're gonna skip that. Maybe we'll do that during 0 to 0. The home instance in Guild Wars 2 is terrible. It really is. That'd be funnier if I actually had cats on this account, but I don't. Um, I wish they would had a much better home instance, and I still hold out hope that in a future expansion they'll put genuine effort into like really cool housing that's customizable and fun and interesting. But they're gonna start this expansion in our home instance, which is still garbage.
I can't believe that
Yes.
actually worked.
Oh no.
This is where the mail's set to meet. Maybe I'm early.
The Pack Commander, champion of an Elder Dragon, the talk of Tyria, in the flesh.
Do I know you?
Me Ray of the Cantha Report, International News Desk, seeing the sights and seeking stories from Central Tyria. Got a minute to chat? Well, you've got one heck of a story, and the people deserve to hear it.
I can probably spare a moment.
Good. Walk with me. Talk with me. Didn't have a chance while you were still in Cantha. Big name like you probably has 1,000 things to say, but let's start with this. Killing Suwon, saving the world, ending the reign of the Elder Dragons, a lot to cope with. Thoughts?
All right, we got some options here. Secrets of the Obscure, generally speaking, as a story, like I said, pretty good. About as good as anything that ArenaNet's been able to do. Unfortunately, it starts in like classic ArenaNet fashion, which is not good, right? So this is this is just silly. And for a story that actually is like probably darker than any other Guild Wars 2 story, again, arguably the beginning of Ice Breach Saga with the Civil War of the Char and like some of that also is more adult. But for a story that ends up being pretty dark and pretty weird and pretty fun and intriguing and like different stuff for Guild Wars 2, it starts 100% Guild Wars 2 with like a reporter cornering us and asking us stupid questions, and like it's all like very tongue-in-cheek. And then it adds this, which is a system that died almost a decade ago in this game, if not fully 10 years ago now. And yet here we have them still utilizing the system for no reason at all. That's fine, whatever. Ending the reign of the Elder Dragons, a lot to cope with. Thoughts? Well, it wasn't just me. As much as we see the commander take, responsibility for other people's hard work. In this case, we won't do that. A lot of people were involved. Have you talked with them? An interesting perspective. How do you respond to the charges that your leadership, or lack thereof, was one of the chief reasons for the catastrophic events that negatively impacted Cantha? That's actually, I guess, fair when you look at the story as a whole. And this does, even in Secrets of the Obscure, this continues to be like this ongoing thing that ArenaNet does, where they gave the commander like really dumb choices and then punish the player and like mock the player for the commander choosing those choices, even though the player doesn't actually have a choice. That's the storyline that ArenaNet wrote in the first place. And I guess some people are charmed by this, and they're like, "Oh, ArenaNet's like breaking the fourth wall," and they acknowledge that the story. Well, no, I don't feel that way. I feel like they're just like mocking the player for it, and I think that's really garbage. I've always tried to do. Let's just stick with the heart here. I don't actually think that's how we oriented this character, but we can't tell because that's no longer. It used to be like right here. Of course, all this looked a lot different, but up here by your name, you used to be able to actually see what you're like, which of these you oriented with. I did the best I could. All right, get off my back. Clearly a touchy subject. Yeah, because again, it wasn't actually my choice, me Ray. Let's move on, shall we? Do you think that the world is a better place without the Elder Dragons, without the cycle we've known for countless generations? The cycle is imbalanced. The void pushed back. Says it all. If we got enacted, we wouldn't be actually kind of like that. I feel as though the lies we say. Well, if we got enacted, we wouldn't be having this conversation. So, good point. Let's talk about you for a moment. What's next for the legendary commander? Any future plans you'd like to divulge here, exclusively for my audience? What audience? Is this your audience? She your audience? This guy? Yeah, not sure yet. I get the feeling I'll end up where that is like MMORPG 101, right? The commander's always in the right place, the right time, or the player character is always where they need to be to, do things that make game playing rewarding, right? Yeah. Now that we've got the high level questions answered, let's get to the meat of the matter. Well, that wasn't the meat of the matter? What my audience really wants to hear. Well, then what was... If your audience didn't want to hear that, why do we waste time?
Scandal, death, romance. Give me the juicy details.
There's not much more to it. We prevented widespread disaster a few times. Lost some friends along the way. But now that the dragon cycle is over, it's peaceful.
Pack Commander's retirement haunted by dreams of the past. The screams of war.
I might not Oh gosh, this could be important. Do you mind?
I think I got what I need. Just you wait. Your name will be painted on every Chronicle interior. Thank you, Commander. You can trust me to tell your story as authentically and accurately as possible.
I don't actually believe that. I do like the way she says Commander.
Thank you, Timey.
Oh, yes. All right, let's see what we got from Timey. But yeah, I do like the the way she says Commander there. Like that's almost tongue in cheek too. Like she doesn't really take the fact that we're the commander seriously or whatever. What do we got here? Oh yes, this. So another thing that again, for being a really good story, it gets off to just a god awful start. Hey Commander, sorry for sending you this antiquated note, etc., etc. One time use service chip that'll apply update to your comms unit automatically. Once you perform the update, you won't need to do anything. So Timey has upgraded the ubiquitous commo device that she uses to communicate with us, which is actually really unfortunate. Really wish Timey hadn't done that, because it just furthermore makes the world of Tyria ridiculous for us. Because she upgraded our outrageous combo device into a full-blown cell phone. So let's use our cell phone here. Oh, and by the way, it's now an item that I guess I carry. So on my main account, I've finished the story. Genuinely don't know if I need to keep carrying this stupid thing around or not. I guess I'll throw it away and see what happens. But all right, let's use it for right now. Look at all the people we can call, because now we have just a cell phone. We're still using flintlocks, but we have cell phones, so maybe if we can get Timey into weapons development, if we can turn Timey into Raytheon, man, the world is gonna be a crazy place. Timey.
This is Timey. I'm not available to talk right now. Busy inventing novel technologies that change how we communicate. Leave a message and I'll get back to you. This is so cool.
Oh, Timey.
Oh, Timey. Yeah, voicemail as well. Did I fail to mention voicemail? So okay. So this story is really, really interesting. It gives us a ton of lore, and it gets much better after this little instance. However, it is very dialogue intensive because of the amount of lore it provides, and because of nonsense like this. We are going to go through all the options because I want to capture everything as a story playthrough. If you don't care when you are doing your play, when you're playing the game, skip this and just call Ivan, because it's got the actual little thing next to it. Because this particular part isn't really all that good.
Command, you?
Yeah? Can you...
Sorry, if that's you. I can't stand anything saying.
I'll call another time. Yao, still there? Must be down in the Jade Mine again.
I guess, Commander.
This is Detective Rama of
Brim and
the
Scarab
Brim and Scarab
Detective
Detective Agency.
Missing family heirloom? We can find it.
Long lost parents? We'll track them down for you.
State your inquiry, and we'll get right back to you at our earliest convenience. Have an efficient day.
Gorik, Rama. We literally just saw the list of people with a communication device. It's 8 people. Who's going to be calling you looking for a missing heirloom? Lissa? Lissa going to contact you about a mirror? Get out of here.
Bram, how are you?
The individual you are trying to contact has yet to properly set up their messaging device. Please try again later.
This is Marjorie Dillon. This is Marjorie and Casimir. No. Timey. This is Marjorie Delacroix of Delacroix Investigations. Me and my beautiful fiancé, Casimir Meade, Crichton Ambassador, are busy living the good life. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. Maybe catch you at the bar. Oh, and if this is Gorik, stop signing my name on paperwork.
Inside these walls. Probably gonna die trapped. I'm happy for them.
So I don't know if this is meant to be like our goodbye to some of these older characters, or if this is like an update for new players to loop them in. I have no idea. Players who already knew who these people were don't need this, and new players don't need it unless they're going to reintroduce these characters, which they should not.
Tammy's note says to press this button, then start talking.
How do you do this? This flaming device.
Take it easy, Commander.
Commander! Darn it. Give me a moment. Sorry about that. Gorik decided to bring an entire colony of mantis diggers aboard Ivan's ship. And someone's cats keep killing them!
Did you see that?
I hope things are less chaotic where you are. If you're bored, Ivan has a job. We would do it, but we've got our hands full.
Bored? You have no idea.
We've gotten word about some puzzling occurrences happening around the town of Garenhoff in Kessex Hills. No real details, but one witness stated that the heart of the town has disappeared. Can you look into it?
Yes. Please. I could use the busy work. Everyone is...
Gorik, put her down! Sorry, Commander. Ivan needs to run. I think someone is about to stage a mutiny. We'll talk soon.
See? Everyone's doing just fine, Aureen.
Well, we don't need that. We don't need, like... Are there that many players that feel like a close emotional attachment to Aureen? Like, really? Okay, so the good news is, because that whole instance just chaps my ass. Like, it's just not good. That whole instance is what ArenaNet has struggled with for 11 years. Which is just writing, like, stuff that, like, a 6th grader would really, really enjoy. In a game that, honestly, is mostly populated by adults, quite frankly. Not sure why that happens. From this point forward, though, gets a lot better. So we need to find... So just like with previous expansions, they open a waypoint for us. I don't know that I previously had this one, but even if you don't have it, Darkwound waypoint here will be available to you. So you can jump straight to Garenhoff and really get started with the good stuff, which is what we're going to do now. Now let's get started on some interesting stuff. Another side note about this expansion, this whole expansion is like incredibly dependent on Skyscale. When they announced the expansion, I assumed that like them giving everyone Skyscale or giving it to them easier or whatever was like just a marketing thing, and I approved of that. I thought that was a good plan. Not the case. Instead, they're giving everyone Skyscale because you can't do this without it.
Whenever the baby wakes me up, I take her for a walk around the block. Usually does the trick. And when we rounded the corner, I realized that the tower wasn't obscuring the moon. It always does that time of night. It was just gone. It was there when I walked home from the market. It was there before we went to bed. Now, it's gone.
Did you smell anything weird? See anything?
No, nothing like that. It just left. I think it left us.
All right, so what she's talking about is for the first 11 years of the game, there was a giant wizard's tower that just floated in the sky over here. Like just a floating plot of land with a big old tower on it and just hung out over here. And was, the source of speculation, for many people and like a really intriguing thing. And one of the more interesting unexplained things happening in the game that had nothing in the game really tied to it. And now we get that, and it's good. April here, by the way, I believe was added as part of the Extra Life thing, sort of a Make-A-Wish type situation, which I think is really cool, so it's nice to see that tied in again. I didn't do the events associated with that when they came out. I had my hands full with other stuff. But it is cool to see them doing that kind of thing.
Is this Garen okay? I don't know. It feels wrong without it. I don't feel ready. Is that weird?
I know what you mean.
It is weird the way you phrased it. That's a weird way to say that. You don't feel you're not getting married and nobody died. I don't know what you're talking about, bro. Now, in fairness, it's worth noting it's not just that a landmark disappeared on these folks. The idea behind this town of Garenhof here, which should be, let's see, what's that POI there? Garenhof. Was in, according to like the lore, like the world building, was like tied to this tower. Like they had like a symbiotic relationship, right? So that's why we hear these folks like reacting in such strong ways. All right, the former home of Vizgaren's castle, because it's not there. If you have questions, I'll do my best to answer them. But right now, we're all a bit lost. Why? Why are you feeling lost? Everything we thought we knew turned out to be wrong. The castle was the anchor around which this town revolved, not resolved. But it turns out we were not important to Isgaren. That being the wizard in the castle. He abandoned us. Well, who is this Isgaren? What are you talking about? He's a grand wizard, but beyond that, most know very little. It's difficult phrasing. The mayor claimed that he made regular visits to the castle, but after the tower disappeared, we learned the truth. Now we feel lost. Yeah. So the truth is that the mayor has never been in the castle. It turns out nobody in this village knew anything about the castle or about Isgaren or anything. Did she say former home? At what point did she say former home? Oh, talking about Isgaren. Until very recently, the southern sky was occupied by the grand floating castle of Isgaren, the wizard who's protected and watched over this town by generation. So that probably suggests what she means by feeling lost. Oh yeah, sure you said that. Okay. Wasn't there something else? Yeah, I'm investigating what happened. What can you tell me about this? Are you blind? I'm not, in fact. Although, I mean, if I am, I guess do I have a Condi clear? I don't know if I am a Condi clear. The wizard's tower is gone. I'm sorry. We're all short-tempered right now. No one more so than me, so calm your ass down. The town is suffering a tragic loss, and the mayor is, well, not very useful at the moment. All right, well, I'll ask more people questions. So in the mayor's defense, like, he done messed up, and now he's got to pay the piper, and that's not easy to do. What's going on over here? Is this the mayor? No, this is the town guard. I think the mayor. Yeah, there's the mayor.
You seem friendly.
Town guard. How am I supposed to protect this town now? It's just me. Yes, because previously the town was also protected by a whole bunch of elementals, which are the elementals gone now as well? Aside from the hero point, looks like maybe they are. You're the only guard in town? We always had elementals before to keep the peace. The only one left is the one trained by the master elementalist, but it's not capable of defending the town, just training the way. In other words, the hero point. They did a pretty good job of adapting the dialogue right there to identify the fact they were going to need to keep the hero point there, right? Best of luck. All right, why does it force us to leave the dialogue without asking the primary question? I'm looking in this situation. What can you tell me? We don't know much, only that the tower disappeared and the townspeople are lost without it. Mayor Manrin and I are doing our best to keep people calm, but it won't be long before unrest sets in. Hey man, I don't know what to say. Like,
Step up, workers.
You'll work it out.
You need to learn how to
We're
handle this.
right here. We might as well like do this.
Those of you on the sidelines, pay attention. Maybe you'll learn something.
Wow, I was wondering if the firework relic was actually going to cause fireworks, and it does. That's unfortunate.
I'm getting tired of people pretending to know the wizard. There are no tours. We've never met Isgaren. He's... Oh, I apologize. I don't even know if he's a he. We know so little, and yet we speak as if we know these things. We act familiar. We know nothing. And now it's gone.
Real unfortunate, sweetheart. All right. Let's see what the mayor has to say about this.
I swore it was empty. I didn't think.
Oh, man. So not only did he lie about knowing Isgaren, turns out he was just, like, faking it the whole time. He didn't even think there was anything up there. It was all a lie. I feel so ashamed. The people of this town, they'll never trust me again. What do you mean? The wizard's tower, the sentinel watching over this town, has vanished. No one has ever known the tower's purpose, but I compounded one lie with another, and now I'm paying for my hubris. All right, what lie? That I knew Isgaren. No one living has ever seen him. An arrangement was struck generations ago when the tower established itself here. We sent our people to them, and they watched over us. That sounds suspect. Yes, so part of that symbiotic relationship was that some people left this village and went into the tower never to return, which indeed sounds suspect. It had never been questioned before, not until the tower disappeared, and now, what fools we all were. Why have they done this to us? I don't know what else to say, except that I still have things to say. Why did they fail to design this dialogue properly? I'm looking into the situation here. What's happened? Well, we just found out what's happened. The Wizard's Tower, which used to hang high above the town and watch. Okay, we've got all this, so you know what? We're going to advance it because if I ask these questions, we're not going to be able to come back to this. We're going to have to open dialogue with him again, and that's bad. A group of sketchy individuals showed up right after, but they couldn't have. I mean, it seems implausible to think they were involved. Does it? Did you know you're living in an MMORPG? Because if you knew that, you would immediately see the linkage. We're watching some of the more vulnerable residents in town, those who were especially impacted by the tower's disappearance. I'll show you where they live. They might be able to tell you more. Okay, I'll talk to them. So these vulnerable members of the population here are having a real hard time with this. And their vulnerability, yeah, my head who said that, has made them, their emotional crisis has made them vulnerable to other things, right? Which is bad. So they turn on us, which is, we don't want that. We don't want people turning on us. Fortunately, they only attack your pet, from which things. All right. Bad news, Mayor. The villager wasn't in the right mind and attacked me, so I squished him with a hammer. By the 6. You have my sincerest apologies. I feel like I should apologize. I squished a villager with a hammer. I hope you showed mercy. These people have lost so much. Note that I don't say I did the best I could to show mercy. They seem disoriented. Is there anything else you can tell me? Lasha said she saw a few of them lingering outside the house on the cliff overlooking the dock. That place has been abandoned for some time, though. I'm not sure it's much of a lead. Guess it's worth a look. So, interestingly, there was also a house up here, which I don't think it's the same house. I believe this house, if this is the right one, was used by, like, certain authorities, like by the Arcane Eye, to, like, conduct surveillance on something. This house, apparently, was used by these mysterious individuals. Now, we can look at all, like, this stuff. There was a still in here. Used recently to heat a concoction of herbal remedies. What do we got? A dagger. Dwarven origin. Oh, that's interesting. There are not very many dwarves left in the world. Wrong thing. Liquid spill. Indicating it happened within the last few hours. Okay, well, so they were just recently here. A poster. Kukachu the Incarnate. Why does this Quaggan keep turning up and always with a different name? So he's actually a dude from Labyrinthine Cliffs, but are they suggesting he's more? Are they suggesting he's a wizard? We'll come back to that. I wonder if, I haven't been upstairs. Nah, nothing. Okay, cool. Alright, let's look at what's on the table. Mongoose. The situation is grim and growing more dire by the moment. Our predictions were far below what we've been seeing from the readings of astral... Oh my gosh. I didn't even get to finish it. Thanks. Appreciate that. Far below what we've been seeing from the readings of astral fluctuations. Priorities have changed. I need you to relocate immediately. Take your team to the region southwest of Cornucopia Fields. And come over here. Let's go over there. Alright, so we got this big old area where we're going to try and find, well, it's not that big, but somewhere in this area is some mysterious people. That's about all we're working with. So one of the nice things about doing this a week after launch is that there aren't giant crowds exactly where we need to go to advance the story. Although there's probably still a few people. Nope, not really. One person running around. So that's nice because it kind of preserves like the immersive quality of all this. Obviously on launch day, there were like hundreds of people over here. Well, not hundreds because the map can't support that. But there were like almost everyone on the map was either right here or right here. Hey, sketchy individual, what's up?
I need you to move along. You're not supposed to be here.
I'm not? Oh, it's just I haven't seen you folks around here before. Thought I'd say hello.
Move along.
I kind of like that the commander can't just like talk her way into this. Like she talks her way into everything. Like the commander always gets her way. And it's nice to see that that is not the case here. I mean, largely irrelevant in the grand scheme of things because, of course, it's still a video game. So we're still going to win. But sometimes it's nice not to just have everything go your way all the time. I despise, I've been pretty clear about that throughout my playthroughs and stuff. I despise that the commander's like super overpowered. And for much of this expansion, they actually do a good job of addressing that. Although they eventually, fall off the path and return to their ridiculous ways of making the commander the end-all be-all. Alright, so we got to call Ivan again. Ivan.
Ivan is busy right now, and
Guess I'm on my own with this one. I should wait until dark. See if I can sneak in.
Good plan, Commander. Because doing things normally would be a lot to ask of you. Better do the weirdest thing possible. Draw as much attention as you can. Alright.
Better. Should be dark enough that I won't be spotted unless I get close. Alright. It looks clear for me to...
Oh no, screaming. So this is a fun introduction to our new foes. Now I want to go ahead and address it like as early as possible so that we can just kind of get it over with. Because again, like I guess in the in like the subreddit and the forums or whatever, I guess like the reuse of assets has been like a conversation. All the cryptists are very obviously based off like skeletons of enemies we've encountered before. I do not find it the least bit distracting. And if it expedited the expansion, I'm fine with it. Like it is not, and this expansion 100% is almost exclusively reused stuff. And it doesn't bother me in the slightest. The expansion feels great in spite of that. Okay, so we got to watch out here because we've seen this throughout other expansions. We see this in Path of Fire several times. And I think it was actually introduced before that. Commander's like, hey, Grouchy Norn, I need to find some bushes to hide in. So we've seen this mechanic numerous times before. It's nothing new for us. We do need to find some bushes. Oh, they're behind us. We're going to hide in these bushes and get this thing started.
As soon as I see your signal, I'll rally the rest of the camp.
Yes, ma'am.
We'll be right behind you. Stay swift, be brave.
Better guarded than I thought. I'll find a more discreet way in.
All right. So I don't have this particular part down to like a fine science yet. So we might have to muddle through it just a little bit. Let's get a little disguise here.
Discarded armor. Might be able to use these. What's that? Might have some good info. The Astral Ward. They must be new to Tyria. And this arena is their leader. Has to be that grouchy Norn.
Okay, so we're going to be checking numerous things, including talking to people. We need to talk to some people.
Particularly distracted. I might be able to use that to get them to tell me something.
We've been waiting for... Oh, this person's appearance changes every time you play through, it looks like. Because that's definitely a different look than last time. I wish we'd just get the signal ready. I know, right? We've been sitting around for so long. Ugh, gross.
How long have you been stationed here? We only arrived yesterday.
Couple days before you.
Ah.
Real smooth, Commander. Real smooth. Alright, so most of these bushes are just for hiding. Some of them allow us to gather clues, but they're also good for, you know, like if you don't know where to go next, hiding is not a problem.
Tossing them out. some good cover.
Why is there a different thing for stop blending in than there is for leave the bushes when it's the exact same action? It's like weird. Alright, eavesdrop.
Help me gather some loot for Narcisse. She's got that farmer knocked out cold. Poor thing. I can't imagine what he's being forced to see.
Well, that doesn't sound very friendly. Whatever's going on here, that... like, most of it thus far has just sounded like people preparing for a thing. But whatever they're doing, this farmer doesn't sound good. Astral Ward. The time we feared for generations has arrived. Oh, that's not good. Outrider Arena will see you to the glory of victory against our enemies. So they're definitely preparing for something. Oh, I gotta get to this bush. Haha! Alright, what else? We got most of what we need here. Information gathered. Few more spots. I just gotta remember where they are. Which I don't remember where they are. So, we'll see if we can figure it out.
I don't understand why we can't just ask for help. It wouldn't be a fight.
The truth would scare them. It's not time, and it's not our call to make.
Now I'm stuck in these bushes for a second. Oh, buddy. We're missing like 2 things.
Follow my voice.
A farmer being tended to. That Char mentioned they were being looked after by... That must be Narcisse.
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we see more of Narcisse later. What have I missed? Didn't I read this paper already? Yes. So the nice thing is, and it really is a nice thing, because when you find yourself in a situation like the one I'm in right now, where you're struggling just because you don't remember where to go or what hasn't been looked at yet.
The infestation is pretty gnarly up north. Isolated villages, not a lot of foot traffic. They got their hands tied.
You will reach a certain point where, like, it's been so long that a timer starts going, and then it actually shows on your mini-map where you need to be to you know, like, what you're missing. And that's kind of nice. Because, like, trying to figure it out, sometimes it's frustrating. I'm mildly frustrated right now. I thought I moved through this stuff pretty effectively. There we go. Who are... Oh, sorry. I didn't see you there skulking around in the dark. What do you want? You scared too?
A little. Laban seems to think they're tracking something, or someone, here in Central Tyria.
Hang in there.
Alright. They're all coming up here for a reason. Let's see if we can hide in the dense bushes, find out what's going on.
Time, my friends. I need you to channel Mabon's determination and Dagda's strength. Remember, while we fight off the cryptis from below, our allies are working to seal the rifts from above. We have a hunt to complete. With me!
And what are we hunting?
Good question, Commander. Oh, look out, people. They can't detect you at this point. You can, like, run, like, right here with them, and they don't care. I guess they're very fixated on whatever hunt it is they're engaging on.
Is calm. Stand your ground.
Next.
The eye is pretty cool. Very Lord of the Rings, but, you know, if you have a fantasy-themed thing, there are certainly worse things you could steal from than Lord of the Rings. So someone said, Commander, no, stay away from it. So somebody recognizes us, knows who we are, etc., etc. Uh-oh. We're not doing a lot of DPS, honestly. So I don't know that, just as an aside, I don't know that this expansion is any harder than, say, End of Dragons, or Heart of Thorns or Pathfire were at the time of their respective launches. But it does feel like the enemies hang in there a bit better. Like they, like they have a little bit more survivability to them.
Is it just me, or am I amazing? I can't get...
Where am I?
You don't belong here, do you? Is everyone okay? Astral Ward, follow my voice!
We probably should follow that voice, but to where? Okay. Oh man, a lot going on. So I want to stop here. I mean, not like stop, but before we step forward, I want to take a second just to appreciate that. Like, I think a lot of this is still reused assets from like End of Dragons and stuff, except that they've done some color changes and some texture changes that are still like really, really good. Oh, did we get more of like the thing? Ah, so proud of myself. And to create an effect that is unlike anything at any point in time that we've ever seen in Guild Wars 2 before. And so a lot of our interactions going forward throughout the rest of the story is not going to feel like classic Guild Wars 2 story, and that feels great. Finally, we have something different. If you raid, it may feel a little more familiar because there are some ties between the story here in Secrets of the Obscure, hopefully this isn't a big spoiler, and Bastion of the Penitent. I can smell your fear, your trepidation. A hint of pride, a drop of joy. I'm repeating it because I don't think it's going to come through in the video. I can taste it all in your breath.
Who are you?
Your mind is perplexing. Your thoughts are pungent. Where?
Feel the fury. What is this place?
My home. Tell me, flickering soul. What are you? I haven't tasted such depth in a long, long while.
Don't take another step.
I do like it when my prey is determined.
So he said a couple things. I wasn't able to keep up with, like translating what he was saying and whatnot. Said a couple things which were interesting. Tell me, Flickering Soul, what are you? I haven't tasted such depth in a long, long time. Oh, before that. Your mind is perplexing. Your thoughts are pungent. Where have you been?
That answers one of my questions.
So I do like that it, well, or rather, I like a lot of what's going on here because it lends to a sense of mystery and like it's bizarre and strange. I don't know if I love that we're still making reference to the fact that the commander died once. That was a bad decision at the time, and it remains a bad decision now. And I would have preferred they had not done that.
We heal as one.
So by this point, it should be clear that this is a fight we're designed to lose, right? We heard this mystery voice once before. Now we're hearing it again. For the first time here, the mystery voice appears to us in a whisper. I can drag this up here and we can see this. So now, whereas before the voice didn't do this, now it does. All right, Sarah's too strong. Say it louder. We can get back up here, and he's going to let us get up, and it's going to be more of the same. Like I said, a fight that we were designed to lose or intended to lose. I don't like it when those are written into games.
About you, Saris.
Utter my name. I grow bored of this.
So do I, actually. So all this is like very good, but fighting a fight that you know you're designed to lose is not like great. So we'll get back up. I think we get killed like one more time. Does all this feel very much like the Balthazar thing, right? All right, hide. We need to hide. And yet, even though all that felt exactly like that Balthazar fight, in fact, kind of worse because the Balthazar fight, you at least get him down to like 10%. I don't know, maybe that's worse in some people's perspective, but in this one, you like very clearly never have a chance, and it's just like kind of wasting your time. You know, like all this new interesting stuff still makes it feel like pretty good in my opinion. I quite like pretty much everything that's happening here. You do got to watch out because if you leave your hiding spot too close to him, then he will very much turn immediately around, and you'll have a bad time. It won't be another battle or anything. He'll just immediately kill you.
Timey.
All right, familiar voice telling us to hurry up. They're opening a portal, and the commander believes it's Timey, and we'll see whether or not it is Timey, and if it's not, like, what's going on here? Let's see, all right, we waited till he was far enough away. Good. It's not fun to have this thing reset, just because you did it a little too close. Oh, man. We got mystery voice. So, about the mystery voice. Do not like the mystery voice. I mean, I do. I like almost everything that happens in the story. I just wish it wasn't a mystery voice, because we just had that not that long ago with Jormag. Relatively speaking, Icebrood Saga was not that long ago, and Jormag was 100% doing the same thing. Now we got it again.
Alchemy, it worked.
Take a deep breath. Count to 3 and think of your fondest memory. Traveling through the mists can be taxing on the mind.
They've got experience with this kind of thing. You'll pull through, huh? Hi there, Commander. Been a while.
We need to keep moving, Zoja. How's your friend doing?
They're fine, they're fine. Little rift lagged is all.
Rift lagged? And... Zoja? What are you doing here?
We'll give you the full breakdown once things settle. Mabon, you gonna look for the other wizards?
Wizards? Wait, who are you?
Cool your blood, Commander. Mabon is one of us. Yes, I'll meet you outside. Be safe.
Zoja, you're here?
Oh, sharp as always, Commander.
All right, you two with me. Can't slow down.
I quite like that on the introduction of Mabon, he is unknown ... Mersat ? And that this guy is, for the time being, Burly Norn. Like, that's fun. It adds a little bit of flavor. Now he's Frode. See that? Frode. For as much as they don't pay attention to detail, sometimes they pay attention to detail.
Where to start?
Less banter, more fighting.
Okay, so hopefully I won't interrupt any of the banter, which is important to lore. So we got two things. To finish my thought, would have been real easy for them just to make like some kind of shade that appeared and said the things, like flickering in and out of our realm of existence or something, instead of having a voice in our head. And then we wouldn't have like the second time in 3 releases where we have a voice in our head. Would have preferred that. Just saying, it doesn't break the story because there's like so much that's fun here that we can live with it, right? And now we got Zoja back. So this is super interesting.
Demons?
Cryptis.
Who are demons, so technically speaking, you're not incorrect.
Oh, thanks, Zoja.
Cryptis are organized. They aren't your average night terror.
Almost like a sentient race? Are they? These don't appear to be, though, do they? I think that's going to be kind of one of the interesting questions going forward. Like, post this release.
Hurts, doesn't it?
They keep coming!
Someone get eyes on the rift!
Feel the fury. I'll break you down.
Commander,
Clear the air.
take this. It might give you a headache, but you'll get used to it. Promise.
What is this thing?
The heart of the obscure. We're still learning the depths of its power, but we know it can seal and open rifts. Found it stuffed in a... Oh, not important, Zoja. We need to take control of the situation.
Alright, so I don't know why Zoja was gone from the game so long, and we'll actually get the in-game explanation for that later, and it's very unsatisfying. But, you know, I mean, like, Felicia Day, like, that's good. Like, she does a great job with her voice acting. She really does. So, I don't know. Was it worth the wait? I guess, man. I don't know. Under any circumstances, we got Zoja back. She's got a thing for us, and we're going to get our first mastery for this expansion introduced to us. This is an item which allows us to open and close rifts. And we get a mastery point as well. That's super exciting. But, unfortunately, it takes 2 mastery points to get that mastery. So, which is kind of a weird decision on their part. Alright, so let's use this thing.
Not bad, but we need to keep moving.
Alright, let's keep moving.
Feel the fury. Hurts, doesn't it? Wither.
Go team. Another rift down. Where are we going, Frode? Is it Frode? Frody? Is it Frode? I don't know how to say his name. He said his name though, didn't he? I think it's just Frode.
Time to do some real damage. You sick? Hurts, doesn't it?
Alright, another rift. Another rift. Another big eyeball.
coming.
All right. So this is our first look at the new map, which I think, I think some folks really like it, and other folks don't necessarily love it. I quite like it. So all this notwithstanding, this is part of the event, or the instance rather. But like all this up here, like I find very interesting. But also very interesting. Where is Lear anyway? Wonder where he was. Frode's gonna follow us around on his own sky scale. Man, they really. Oh yeah, I can't actually shut that thing down until I kill these guys. They really want people on sky scales to the point where it's like a little bit nuts. Not sure how I feel with that about that, but the map itself is pretty cool, and I do like that.
They'll have to hit much harder.
I'll break you down.
Alright, so we can fly back up there again, or technically, I think we can reach it from like a one spot right on this rock. Oh, come on. Oh, there it was. Alright, well, we're out of combat now. About time, jeez. That one took a long time. Okay, so we get a lot of like tutorial type things that pop up here. It does definitely seem like they really wanted new players to like get into this and get a feel for it, and so they designed a lot of stuff here, giving people a sky scale as though they've never had a sky scale. Now that's not unfair. There are a lot of players who join late enough in the game that they still don't have sky scale, and there may be new players joining specifically for this expansion. So I'm fine with it. If you've been in the game a long time, it might be a mild annoyance to get like tutorial things popping up for the sky scale when you already know how to handle a sky scale, but I do appreciate that their goal is to get new players into the game and that they design that content with new players in mind. It is hard to get into a new MMO when the content is exclusively designed for veteran players and you're like desperately trying to catch up somehow when you don't understand anything that's going on around you. And I think for some games the solution is simply to promote like a they put that boundary way too close to that rift. I think for some games, like Final Fantasy XIV, it feels like their solution was just to promote a player-driven system with the mentor thing. And I feel like ArenaNet wants to go a different direction here, and they're really trying to make it to where the game explains to new players kind of what they should be doing. That's light years ahead of where they were early game when Guild Wars 2 first came out, and there was it was very much incumbent upon the player to figure things out. And they do that far less with Secrets of the Obscure, and they did a lot less with End of Dragons as well. Like it isn't exclusive to Secrets of the Obscure by any stretch of the imagination. Hurry up and close that rift, Commander. Jeez, taking your time. Lair doesn't have time for that. Where is Lair? Oh, you know what? I think he's up here. So is Mabone, if I remember correctly. So, yeah, you can use like the wall launch and stuff to get up here, or if you're having a hard time with that, because that was clearly not very graceful, your other option, of course, is to launch a sky scale from the building over here, across the way, like over here, and then it's, of course, much easier to get to this. I don't know that it's necessarily designed to be challenging, but probably designed to give people who are having their first encounter with a sky scale like an opportunity to kind of get a feel for getting somewhere higher than just the initial flight height. It is difficult to launch from over here though because of the boundaries of the instance, as we've seen in other spots. Okay, land on the floating platform. Let's meet some of Frode's friends. Does Frode have friends? See that kind of Norn? Where Like, people like being around him? Is he a friendly guy?
Took you long enough.
Hey, guy.
Still adjusting to the sweat. Fight with me.
More of them?
Looks like your friend earned us some unwanted attention.
Not that I had any say in that.
You sick?
Hurts, doesn't it?
Rip 'em up. Wither. Feel the fury.
Hey, guy. Oh, we got a champ.
You sick? Strength of the pack. Feel the fury.
Time to do some real damage.
Rip 'em up.
Come on. Thank the forge. Thought I'd lost you too.
Certainly put up a fight. But for now, let's focus on the one in front of us.
Pounded into dust. Feel the fury. We heal as
Ah, look, my bond's all glowy. Alright, so who we got here? We got Zoja. We know Zoja. We got Frode, the big burly Norn guy, who honestly, like, pretty cool. Frode is. He's been helping us out, getting out of like all the cryptis infested areas over in what was it? Was it this building? I think it was that building. We got Narcisse. We should remember her. She was like a nurse who was treating someone back in the camp before we left Tyria as we know it. We got Lear here, Lear, who's got like a, well, not got a dwarf thing going on. He is a dwarf, right? And then we got Mabon, who is a Mersat. Now remember, like, we've only had in this game one interaction with Mersat in the past, and that wasn't particularly good. And that was Lazarus. I don't know if we needed to kill Lazarus. In fact, I would be very intrigued, if we learned that, from Mabon at some point, that we did not need to kill Lazarus. That would be like a very interesting thing. Though I have no indications that is the case. I would really enjoy like a side arc that took us down that road. All right, random people, what's up?
She'll be all right, Lear. How are you feeling?
Adjusting. The split is never easy.
Take a moment. Ah, you all made it. Good.
All in one piece. What happened to Iskarin and Dagda?
Iskarin?
You've probably heard rumors.
Possessed. Dagda got it bad. Whatever they hit her with, not great. And our beloved seer is, well, I've seen Iskarin in better shape.
They fled for our own good. Eparch sent his strongest to take them down first.
Guess that makes you the standing chair of the Wizard's Court.
And how are you doing? Stabilizing?
I have questions.
I'm sure you have many. So, Commander, let us fill you in.
All right, yeah, that'd be great. If people would just go ahead and fill me in. Where should we start? Well, let's one person is like last. No, they're all in same. Okay, any order. Let's start with Lyra here.
Ah, you must be the commander Mabon spoke so highly of. I guess you're about what I expected.
And what did you expect?
Couple more scars. Taller, maybe. I jest. We monitored you as we monitor all magical anomalies. Don't worry. You're one of the good ones.
If you weren't, well, you'd be dead.
Thanks, I guess. Things are chaotic around here, to say the least, but I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. You aren't made of stone, right? Because as a dwarf, you should be. Aren't all the dwarves made of stone? Even, what's his name? Over at the Priory is still, like, stone, right?
I'm not. No. Ascended before the last dwarf turned. I have strange feelings about that. The right. But I'm reaching for something that isn't there or behind a thick wall. Must be sounding a little ooh to you, aren't I? Wizards like Maban and I are a little different from you mortals. We needed to ascend to get these powers. Separate our planes of consciousness so that we can connect to the current. In simpler terms, our old self is put on a separate shelf. Our new self, our wizard selves, take over.
So I actually quite like that. I think it's pretty cool. It's good for storytelling, and also, like conceptually, I like the idea of like the sacrifice involved in becoming like a wizard and the responsibility. Hey, what happened to Isgarin and this Dagda person I heard about?
Possessed. It's a nasty little trick courtesy of our friends, the Cryptists. They wiggle their way into your mind, corrupt each thought one by one until you're raw. The pain refuses to cease.
And why didn't you get possessed?
Well, not for lack of trying. I came pre-built with a special little ability that allows me to split in two. Can't take over my consciousness if half of it is hightailing it to the Wizard's Tower, can you?
So that's a really interesting thing, and even after having played through the story like in its entirety thus far, keeping in mind there's still the 3, 6, and 9 month mark releases that they're going to provide along with Secrets of the Obscure. But thus far, like there's still a lot about that we don't fully understand. But an interesting thing. So Mersat guy.
I'm sure you have many questions for me.
Quite a few. Are you?
A Mersat, yes. And I'm sure that isn't the biggest shock you've received today.
Wizards? The Astral Ward? Traveling to wherever I was? No, it's not. I apologize if I find it hard to trust you immediately. My only experiences with the Mersat have been...
dire at best, I know.
Dire. Lazarus the Dire. That actually kind of annoys me.
Knowledge is yours. You've placed a lot of faith in us already.
And for whatever reason, Maban does that a couple times. There's at least twice in the story, this being one of them, where he describes the Mersat as dire. I don't know, man. So sometimes the internet just can't help themselves, can they? All right. What is this place?
We are currently standing outside the Beacon of Ages. You may recognize it from folklore. Tyria dubbed it the Wizard's Folly Tower. Not our choice, of course. We have beacons such as this all over the world. They are conduits, so to say. The shield that they powered was recently broken, hence, well, all of this. This land is ancient and sacred. High above us in the clouds lies Omnitas, our home. Unfortunately, we're barred from getting any closer until we can quell the tower's defenses.
Okay. So this organization these guys are part of, right? The Wizard's Court. What's that all about?
We are protectors, not too dissimilar from yourself and your liege, Areen. While you kept Tyria safe from the threat of the dragon cycle, we watched you from the clouds. Until recently, the World Spire has powered a shield that guarded this world from the mists. To an extent. The final dragon cycle weighed heavily on our ability to shield ourselves. Nightfall came. Balthazar. Tyria has suffered still. But when the cycle ended, the magical ecosystem was fractured. The lake stilled. And now, you can see to the bottom. Aurene has begun to restabilize the system. I can feel her at work now. But until we mend the spire and our beacons, we are blood in water. Not only to the Cryptis, but anything else that may be looking.
So this is a good time to go ahead and inject something that I really, really, really like a lot about this expansion. Like, I'm super excited about it. Numerous times while doing my story playthrough, I talked about how they needed to reach back to other magics outside of dragon magic. There are other parts of the lore and the world building that made reference to like the old magic of Tyria and like other things contained within the lore of Tyria and like these ideas. And they're starting to touch on that. And the idea that there are things within the mists, I also talked extensively about how the mists provide them great opportunities for almost like unlimited additional world building and additional plot lines. And now they're playing with that. I do not mean to suggest by any stretch of the imagination that like I had the good idea, but rather those were logical conclusions, and I'm glad to see that the studio jumped on them. Who are these Astral Ward folks that I've seen some of?
They are our protectors.
Oh, like a
While
guard
the other
force for the
wizards
wizards,
and I
huh?
put the shields in place, the Astral Ward kept eyes on the rest of the world. Despite our best efforts, there are cracks in every system. Creatures of the mists have found ways inside. The Ward protects you from them. Every time a rift opens in Tyria, they seal it and kill whatever terror it has set loose.
Okay, well that's pretty cool. That's like the idea that there is yet another secret society operating in Tyria that we never noticed before, and I hope there are 15 more. Like that is infinitely more rewarding. You know, just like the Aether Blades were interesting because they weren't part of like the normal enemy set. Like this also is very interesting. Who are the Cryptis?
The Cryptis are demons.
Right.
They evolved, learned. Their influence and power grew under the guidance of their leader, Epoch. Centuries ago, Epoch wanted to join our ranks, but Isgarin denied him entry. He found Epoch to be ignorant, hungry. Demons tend to be solitary creatures, but Epoch saw potential. Wells of power that they'd yet to tap into. He dubbed himself their king and built a society in his own image. One of fear and anger. Neos, the realm of dreams. They've spent centuries watching us, and others, learning all they can. Now, they've chosen to act.
All right, and the final question here from Mabon. Why haven't I ever heard of these?
That was Isgarin's choice, and he made it long ago. He felt that the world only needed to focus on one terror at a time. Though I do admit, maybe this would have been prevented if we had asked for help sooner.
Yes. It also raises a question, and it's already kind of been referenced, of where these jokers were when the whole Elder Dragon thing was going on. We do get that later in the story, so I don't want to spoil that right now. Zoja.
It's been
A long time. Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's been an eventful day. Suppose I'm still in shock.
I bet you are.
It's good to see you.
And you. We have a lot to catch up on.
Commander, I require your attention. Come speak to me, please.
Hey, Fro, do you want to let me talk to my friend first? Buddy? All right, so for all the good they do in the Secrets of the Obscure story, we do have like some real swings and misses here. And we're about to get to that right now. Zoja, it has been years since the Maguma Jungle. Years since the end of Heart of Thorns. Where have you been?
Here. I went back to Radisum after Maguma. They tried to help me heal, but nothing worked. It was different then. It didn't feel like home. They treated me differently. So I traveled. And I traveled and traveled until I found somewhere I belonged. They took me in, helped me heal. Been here since.
All right. We're going to get a lot more of that, about how that came to be later. And it's really bothersome because it's like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait. Under all this time, we've been under the assumption that Zoja was like still in a coma, right? And players have been begging, "What's going on with Zoja? What's going on with Zoja?" Like it's not like players didn't care. Players really, really cared. And all this time, we just thought, "Well, she's still recovering, still recovering." Nope. Turns out that she like came out of whatever coma or whatever. Like, and she, I don't know that we ever knew she was in a coma. After all, she was coherent relatively when we took her out of the pod and she moved on, and Logan appeared to be worse, and he has since gone on to do a great many things. And yet, we never hear about Zoja. Turns out she recovered enough to leave Radasum, went and traveled the world and like was doing her own thing, and we didn't know anything about that until now. Zoja, how did you even get here?
The Wizard's Court keeps all of this a secret.
Ah, great.
When I left Ratasum, I just wandered for a while. I needed to be alone. I felt... I ran into another Asura in a hunting lodge outside Divinity's Reach. You know. I told her my story, she told me hers. Then she took me to meet Mabon. And the rest is history.
Okay, can we open the map while this is up? Yeah, we can. So this hunting lodge is like, a place that is, like almost everybody knows it. Like it's very easy to find. It's right here, which would kind of jive with the whole story because after all, like that is, for a human living in like Queensdale or Divinity's Reach or whatever, the hunting lodge, and then you come like right down the road here, and on into Kessex Hills, and come right down like this, or I'm sorry, right over like this, and there you are in Garenhof. And so like it's their packaging of that like isn't too shabby. Are you in the Astral Ward?
Yeah, I am. Been studying under Mabon for a few years now. He saw something in me. Not just my brain, but he saw a flicker of power in me. Magic. More than just the elements. I have always been proud of being a scientist, and believe me, I still am. But I never thought there was something else in there. Waiting to come out.
All right, we will get a lot more from Zoja later to help kind of bring into focus like her disappearance and reappearance. Unfortunately, like I said, as much as is satisfying in this story, some of that isn't satisfying because it was very difficult for them to explain like 8 years of absence on the part of Zoja.
And Arena.
She didn't make it back. Mabon focused all of his energy on grabbing the commander.
If she has half the strength of her mother, I pity the cryptist that tries to put her down. Ah, yes. Glad to see you on your feet.
Me too.
I suppose we finally have a breath for a proper introduction. Name's Frode. Welcome to the Astral Ward.
All right, so yeah, about Arena. Let's start there because did she go into the portal along with us in an effort to rescue us and was left there and died? Like the commander really does just leave a trail of dead behind them.
It's okay. She's endured worse. If anyone can build a life for herself in a realm of rot and chaos, it's my daughter.
Is that a compliment?
Arena is your daughter? I'm sorry. I had no idea what I was walking into.
That's not your fault. Being a member of the Astral Ward comes with severe consequences.
All right, so his daughter, nonetheless. Okay. Yep. Way to stomp on that one, Commander. Yeah. So you guys remember this like Astral Ward thing?
What our modest friend neglects to mention is that he is our valiant leader and guide. I am Narcisse. I specialize in medical magics and herbal remedies. If you ever find yourself with a demon on your shoulder, give me a call.
Will do.
I like how the commander even like the voice in our head says something about that, and the commander's like, yeah. Wait, why does everyone know who we are?
Of course we do. We've watched your whole journey. Amazing, really. It's a bit jarring to see you in the flesh.
Gross.
You've got quite the fan club up here.
We didn't always know if you were an ally. But, I mean, no offense. You've experienced so much.
I can't blame you for being hesitant.
Yeah, because the commander's done so many stupid things that, if you were truly objective, watching from the clouds, why were you just watching from the clouds while the Elder Dragons and Lazarus and Balthazar and Codicus, like, and these guys are just chilling up here, maintaining a shield. But at the same time, the commander's a real idiot, so it's understandable. Maybe they were a little hesitant to, get fully involved. I don't know. Frode, what is it you want to do?
I do. Now that you've got some sense of our situation, I've set up a meet with the rest of the Rift Hunters.
Rift Hunters? Are they also Astral Ward?
Correct. I'll explain later. Got a camp set up nearby. I'll walk you through everything.
Got it. I'll see you there soon.
I will. I will see you there soon.
Sweet, sweet loot.
Man, gaining entry to this map, I've forgotten how long it takes. And of course, normally you don't have to engage in every dialogue option, and that's going to save you legit like 20 or so minutes. I did make it back alive.
What are you?
You worry too much.
Alright, so the voice in our head continues, accusing us of worrying too much because we are worried about the voice in our head. I feel like that's a justifiable worry. Alright. Yes, so gaining access to this map is really time consuming. One of the interesting things about how they went about that also is that you do not get like your little like portal thing, like the Arborstone portal thing. You don't get that for this expansion until you've already completed the entire story. And even then, you have to do a collection for it. It's a very easy collection, but you do have to do a collection for it. Really weird that they are forcing the players, like you have to bring a character into these expansion maps here. All this up here. And complete the entire story and do a collection before you can easily get an alt into the maps as well. That struck me as a really weird choice on ArenaNet's part. I'm not saying it's terrible, but it is, in my opinion, bizarre and inconsistent with what they've done in the past. And if there's one thing that ArenaNet's great at, it's being inconsistent. They are some of the most consistently inconsistent people you could ever hope to meet. All right, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here for today because this ran a little bit longer than I expected. Doing all the dialogue was a bit more consuming than I expected, and I don't want to start another story step until I have the time to, make it worthwhile. So when we come back in a couple days, we're going to continue to move through the story, and we're going to discover just what the Astral Ward is, who these wizards are, and the Cryptists. Like, what is the actual threat they pose? Because we have never seen... We, being the commander, you have never seen a reason to fear the Cryptists before now. But the Astral Ward and the Wizard's Court appear to be very, very concerned about it. So much so that they didn't involve themselves with, our whole dragon thing. So we're going to get some more of that when we come back next time, and maybe we'll be able to put some of that in perspective. So until then, thank you very much for hanging out with me, and I hope you have a great evening.